People who got cheated on. What were the early signs indicating that your partner might do it before they actually cheated? 1. She said his name in her sleep. Was probably already fucking him by that point. 2 months later, she was pregnant with his kid and we were divorcing. He split and was never in their daughter's life, of course. 2. It's always the changes in phone habits. Turning off notifications, tilting screen away from you, leaving the phone face down at all times, taking it everywhere and spending way longer in the bathroom than usual, never leaving it unattended. 3. Sudden acts of service or romantic gestures that in retrospect were guilt overcompensation. 4. They thought I was cheating on them. Looking back, it seemed like for a little while she was all of a sudden hanging out with her friends a lot, saying she wanted me out of the house for the night so she and her friends could hang out. A few weeks later, I catch her flirting with some dude on FaceTime. 6. Happened like 15 years ago with my first love. She wasn't the type of person to cheat. She wasn't a bad person. I was depressed. I was checked out. She was always available whenever I needed her. One thing I think was a tell that I ignored was how much time she was spending with a particular person. I just trusted that she wouldn't cross any lines. Eventually, she did. She felt horrible. I did too. We broke up and it was for the best. One thing I'll say as a wiser man, if your significant other starts spending a significant amount of time with one other person outside of your relationship, just try to pay attention. When it starts to seem like they'd prefer that person's presence over yours, something is probably going on, and they may not even realize that they're falling in love with someone else, but they are. 7. They have a history of cheating. They have trouble controlling their impulses just in general. Know the character of them, and you can predict just about anything. 8. The sex literally stopped overnight. Long story short, she went out to the bars with a single friend of hers. She'd never given me reason to doubt her fidelity, so I said, cool, have fun. Call me if you don't feel like taking an Uber or when you get home. She goes out, texts me at 4:30 or something instead of calling. Said something like, home, in bed, love you. Eventually, her friend told me what happened, how she brought the guy back to her place with them, and her friend passed out on the couch, got up to get a glass of water and walked past her room and saw this dude giving it to her. I had always suspected something happened that night, but again, ignored the signs because of my love for her. Later found out after we split that she had been having an affair for the final 7 months of the relationship. Looking back, the drop-off in sex and her attitude towards sex with me in general, her sudden interest in toys, but never seemed to be in the mood, nor try to introduce them into the bedroom. She'd get super defensive whenever I'd bring up that she'd been a bit off since the night she went out. How defensive she got when I brought up the lack of sex. Not only the rejections of my advances, but rejecting me. Then I'd walk past our room later and catch her using the toys and recording it. She was cold and distant.